I'm sitting here in Times Square, New York, with KP Reddy of, let me see if I get this right, Zero RFI?
Yeah.
Zero RFI. So earlier today, I was introducing him, and I said to the people, if you don't know what RFI means, then you haven't been in construction all that long. And so tell us what you're doing at your company and your organization to do what you told me was your one thing earlier.
Yeah, I think like what we do as an industry is like so important. It's the most important job on the planet, right? And I think there's a little bit, you get taken for granted. Everything works until it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think the way we look at our mission is to really get people much more focused on like what they're building and why.
Yeah.
And I think it's hard, right? I think it's hard to be there when these projects are one of a kind. You show up with a team that you may not see again.
Yeah.
Right. So it's an interesting dynamic. I always say it's really more like putting a movie together than it is construction. Everybody just kind of shows up, works together, and then disappears. Right.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times you don't even get to see, the benefit of the work you did. I was actually telling someone the other day, like, if you go to a movie, the movie credits run forever.
Come on.
It's the catering staff. It's
you're
everything.
Preaching to the choir. Yes. Right?
So it's like, how do we make sure that everyone on the job, big, small, whatever, gets attribution, gets to say like that building's my building.
Yeah.
Right. And I think it doesn't cost a dime.
Yeah.
It doesn't cost a dime. So, I used to work for Frank Gehry, and it was always Frank Gehry's buildings, but there were 100 people behind him.
Yeah.
That did the work.
Yeah. I think, you said it earlier inside there. You said you actually, I thought you articulated it really well. Because you talked about on the job site, even the guy who is handling the portable toilets should be able to say, hey, that's my building.
Yeah.
And the reality is, none of us build buildings alone. Not one of these skyscrapers that surrounds us was done by just carpenters, just steel workers, just pipe fitters, entire teams.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing that I think is happening now in not just culture, but society, I think we live in this time where we're getting to experience what I would call a bridge generation. Mm-hmm. I grew up without the internet.
Yeah.
My kids will never know what that was like.
Yeah.
And so I'm experiencing that. And I need to bring some of the people in the industry into an understanding that we need to use the tools that are here.
Yeah.
How do we do that?
So here's something interesting. So I have a 26-year-old, a 24-year-old, and a 4-year-old.
Oh, my word.
My 4-year-old will never know what a keyboard is.
I never thought of that.
So think about that, right?
Wow.
We'll never know what a keyboard is. We'll never learn how to type.
Wow.
Right? Because really, I think it's probably by the end of the year.
I took typing class in high school.
Anthropic and OpenAI are not going to have voice transcription. It'll actually be voice understanding. So when you talk to your AI, it might ask you, why are you so angry? Because it'll know, like it's actually knows your voice. It's not just transcribing, right? So, that's coming, it's already happening, but it's coming closer and closer. And so when you think about that, compute starts to become invisible, mm-hmm. right? Information is just abundant. And so I do think we all yearn, like my CTO is brilliant, PhD mechanical engineering, one of the most brilliant guys I know. Guess what his hobby is? It's woodworking. So I think we all have the need to work with our hands. I think we've just been told for a long time that like, why would you do that, right? And some of it's money. I think parents advise their kids. They say on one hand, they'll say, you should do what makes you happy. On the other hand, let me tell you what's going to make you happy.
Yeah.
Right. So I think there's that guidance there. And I think parents are, especially like if your parents grew up with a hard life, they grew up in their generation. They were working a hard life. They saw who had the nice houses and the nice cars. And so they patterned like, well, you need to go be a doctor. Indian culture.
Yeah.
Doctor or engineer.
Yeah.
There's nowhere in there like, go be a tradesperson, right?
Yeah.
Because for that category and that class of that group of people, like my parents' age, everyone that drove the nice cars and had the nice houses were doctors and engineers.
Yeah.
So those were the choices that they laid out for us.
Yeah.
And so I think it takes a generational shift to say, you know, yeah, you should be happy, but you can also make a great living doing what you actually want to do.
Well, I think, doesn't that also come down to, I mean, I understand parents, I'm a father, but the problem is I'm having to let my son go and do things, and I am fearful about it. Like, I don't want him to have to go through different struggles, but yet those are the things that make you who you are.
Yeah.
Like, that's the salt, that's the spice, that's the things that make your life interesting and fulfilling. And honestly, I'm not going to be here all the time. He's got to learn how to do it and get through it. So.
Yeah, it's really tough. You know, I like slept in my car for like 2 months in college.
Wow.
And I had a duffel bag that had like all my worldly possessions. I had like a sleeve. I used to work out a lot.
Yeah.
I had a sleeve of cans of tuna and a can opener. I could eat protein, right? 29 cents a can from Kroger, right? And I kept that duffel bag forever. I think I just got rid of it maybe like 3 years ago.
Wow.
And it was just like, it was a constant reminder, but my reflection wasn't, yes, it was hard, but in many ways it's like, it was fine, right? It was like, hey, like that was just part of it, right? That's just part of it. So I think there's a balancing act of letting I say like life is running with scissors. And when it's your kids, you just don't want them to land on a jugular, right?
Yeah.
Like a little nick here and there, fine.
Yeah.
That's all we really want to do. But I think the world, we say the world has changed. The world is constantly changing.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things that's happening is we now get to have somewhat of a creative outlet in a lot of things.
Yeah.
Whether it's writing, I joke around, I'm a civil engineer, but I've written 3 books that have nothing to do with civil engineering. I podcasted, do all these creative things. I don't think I would have done it all without technology.
Yeah.
I don't think it would have been there. So I think it's going to be interesting to see the unlock of creativity with AI, because what we're essentially doing is the gap between idea and execution is getting really short.
I see that in my industry, even in the construction side of it. And, we do a lot of brand and storytelling and whatnot. And AI has, I don't want to keep talking about how it's eliminated jobs. It hasn't. It's made it that we can focus on other things. And you talk about that the speed with which we can do certain things now is exponential to what we could do a year ago.
Yeah. So I read this stat. Don't quote me exactly on the number. It's rough order. Something like 6 million people are NILF. No. Have you heard of this term?
I've never.
Not
NILF.
in the labor force. Not in the labor force. I.e., they're in their parents' basements. They're choosing not to work.
Okay.
Right? Because we have the boomer generation is transferring $70 trillion of wealth.
It's insane.
Right? And they've kind of decided, like, I don't want to go do that. I don't want to go do this. My parents let me sleep in the basement, and I'll get by. I'll do some Uber drives here and there. But they've chosen not to enter the workforce. Now, my problem with that is, like, everybody should live their own lives. I think at some point, there's a reason why sports gambling's up too, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is why. You have 6 million people sitting at home, right?
Right, yeah.
So I do think that the human condition requires us to do several things. One, be productive, not in a productivity perspective, but do something. I also think we are natural puzzle solvers.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that problem-solving nature that's built into us, the obsession around a problem that we sometimes have, I think things like AI and technology are going to actually expand how people think about stuff. I think entrepreneurship's going to go way up. I've had a lot of people ask me about, like, hey, why can't I just go do a startup drywall contractor? How does that work? Is there venture capital for that? I'm like, no, there's not. Like, you need a rich uncle. You probably need to work in the trade for a little bit. But I do have a hypothesis that if you take all the risk, if you can use technology and AI specifically to have much more predictability around risk, the financial underwriting of projects becomes a lot easier. Because right now, for you to underwrite a bond, it's track record,
Yep.
it's collateral, it's all these things, right?
Yeah.
Because there's not a lot of great data to say how you're doing,
Right.
right? Even the construction draw process is somewhat based on trust,
Yeah.
right?
No,
Is
it
it
really
72% or 74%?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's more like,
I've been in those meetings. I've had those phone calls.
yeah, I was joking around with, we had these interns in for the summer out of Georgia Tech, and they were like asking me, like, hey, what's the difference between a 30% DD and a 70% DD? And I was like, there's no such thing. And they're like, well, why do they exist? I'm like, because the architects need to get paid. It's 30% complete to get paid, not the work. It's 70% because I need to make payroll,
Right.
not because it's 40. It's that much more complete, right?
Yeah.
That's all made up,
Yeah.
right? So all this
This
percent
is true.
right?
I mean, you're telling the truth. It's the
Right?
reality.
It's all made up, right?
Yeah.
So I think if you can start giving people real-time transparency into the risks, now it becomes much more underwritable. If you think about it, we can buy a house with 10% down, 20% down. Pretty easy if you have credit.
Yeah.
Credit is a made-up construct.
Yeah.
Right? It's
Well,
just,
that's a whole nother podcast. But
that's
you're
a whole
right.
other right. But somebody decided to give a risk predictability index to make banks comfortable.
Yeah.
Right? So now all of a sudden you think about it, you say on this project, hey, based on the risks, based on your performance, based on your team, based on the real-time data I'm getting, hey, I don't need you to collateralize your bond that much. I can maybe, so now all of a sudden that unlocks entrepreneurship. It's kind of like, getting, if you have bad credit, right? You go get a car.
Yeah.
They now have those little devices on them. They can turn you off.
Really? I didn't even know
Yeah,
that.
like you go to your car, you didn't make your payment, it won't start.
Well,
and
that would get you paid.
Right, it's got a load jack on it, right?
Yeah.
So instead of charging you 30% interest or some whatever to manage the risk,
Right.
they actually charge less because they can turn you off and come get the car.
Yeah.
So I think all this data, all this stuff, I'm really, my wish and hope, right, is it's just going to drive a whole new level of entrepreneurship. I do feel like GCs have gotten too big.
I agree.
There's like too many big ones.
Yeah.
And so I'm not saying that they're good or bad. I think from an economic perspective, I think for this industry to really continue to grow, there has to be more of a craft mentality.
Yeah.
And, and for you to be like the top plumber in your area,
Yeah.
that's a good thing. I mean, competition is good, but I think sometimes things get too big and it's not good for the industry. It's not good for clients.
Really not.
It's not good
You
for clients.
have a handful of people doing 90% of the work, and that isn't good for the industry, because then that works us towards something that can be really bad if it continues in that direction.
Yeah, when I graduated, I practiced as a civil engineer. I was part of a 30,000 person firm, massive firm, international firm. And we figured out that there were guys that would just like steal your job codes and bill quarter hours. Right?
Oh,
and hope
my
that nobody,
word.
and that they wouldn't do anything.
Wow.
They would just like come into your office after hours, because we'd all like print out our job codes on our desk, and they'd like steal your job codes and just do a bunch of quarter hours and get a 40-hour billable week, hoping that nobody caught them. The problem with size is there's no way you can have the best of the best. You have to optimize in a 30,000 person firm. Your entire job is to optimize to mediocrity. It's not to optimize to excellence.
Come on.
That's unrealistic.
Yeah.
But I think in a smaller firm, you can optimize to excellence.
Wow. That's really profound. So how do you think that we can get AI into the hands of the people that can use it? Because I think you talked about, what'd you call it, a NILF?
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. So we have people that, and I'm not going to try to create an acronym here, but we have people that aren't in the workforce, but then we have, and this is specific to construction, people who refuse to use AI or technology that they need. I was just talking with an electrician the other day, and he said he got on the job, and this was years ago, and the new portable bandsaw was on the job, and the old timers are like, you need to cut conduit with a hacksaw for at least 6 months before we'll let you use that. Well, why? Why?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, when I started, we cut conduit with big conduit cutters, hacksaws, all sorts of things. But a portable bandsaw does a better job, faster, and it's portable.
Yeah.
You can take it up on the lift and keep working. So then we have this group of people in construction that are doing that with technology. How do we get them? And maybe you could speak to this. I don't know where your camera is here, but maybe you could speak to this and say, why is it so important that those individuals in construction need to put down the hacksaw and pick up that new technology and use it?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a couple reasons why. One, I think people that behave that way, that's a lot of self-importance and fear, right? Fear of change, fear of the things, right? But I think part of it is the leadership and the culture has to also be hand in hand in this stuff and understand why it's important. I mean, I think we all have our stuff, right?
Yeah.
We all have our stuff. Like when my kids were learning how to drive, I'm like, you got to learn on a stick shift. You better know how to change the tire. They're like, but Dad, there's AAA. I'm like, AAA is for old people. AAA is for people with budget. You don't have budget.
I love it.
You're 16, right? I mean, why do I do that? I mean,
Yeah.
Maybe they don't need to know how. Maybe they, like this idea of self-sufficiency.
Yeah.
Power gets cut to the job site. You can keep working with your hacksaw.
Sure.
Like maybe.
Yeah.
Like maybe. But I think there's certain things that maybe we need to let go of.
Yeah.
In terms of some of that thinking. It's like, are you still doing hand calculations with a carpenter pencil?
Oh
like,
my
no.
goodness.
Like, no, you're not.
No.
Like, let me take that laser level away from you and see how you do.
Yeah.
Right? So I think people like to choose. I think there's one thing I learned when I was a young engineer was what I thought was people being serious was just a form of hazing.
Yeah.
They're just like giving you a hard time.
Yeah.
Right? I think people are just a little too serious. Sometimes people are serious about it.
I
think
you're
sometimes
right.
they're just giving you a hard time.
Yeah. Well, and so I was an electrician by trade, and I used to carry a book with me, all the formulas and tables, so that I would know how to make conduit bends.
Yeah.
And I was on a job the other day, and I'm out there, and the guy pulls out his phone, and I'm like, "What are you doing? You have your phone on the job site, little old man here."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "What are you doing? Are you texting somebody?" He goes, "No." He goes, "I'm figuring out my conduit bends." And I was like, "Oh?" And he's like, "Yeah." And he pushes a button and it tells him how to do it.
Yeah.
I think the thing that I'm noticing is the technology is here. Like this is the way that I would say it. One of the greatest inventions in my lifetime since sliced bread is the GPS.
Yeah.
When I started, I had a road atlas with me.
Yeah.
I drove into this city this morning through Manhattan. If it would not have been for my GPS, there is no way that I would have made it here.
No, I have that moment whenever I'm traveling abroad. I just get off a plane and get a car and go to where I'm going.
Yeah.
I mean, what would you do back in the day? Ask for directions and I don't know what you did, right? So I think some of that stuff is, but also people don't know the difference between, they don't know where north is anymore. But I think some of the evolution of technology, I think what people are missing. So my last book was on AI, and everybody was shocked about what I wrote, which had nothing to do with technology. And I was like, what this is all going to come down to is people.
Yeah.
People and relationships. Because At the end of the day, people work for other people. They're inspired by other people. They're led by other people. It's, we on the 1st and the 15th, we'd like to see something in our bank account.
Yeah.
But outside, but that you can get that a lot of places, right?
Yeah.
So I do think, generally speaking, what I get more worried about versus tech adoption is people's ability to create genuine relationships. Because that's how you get through shit. I mean,
come on.
How do you get people to stay late? By giving them overtime? Yeah, sure. That's not why. It's man, I don't want you hanging out here I don't want you on the job site all by yourself.
Yeah.
Let me hang out and help you finish up early so you can get home.
Yeah.
That's why people do stuff.
You're absolutely right.
And so I think that's the thing that I get more worried about with all this technology, that we're going to have more time for human relationships.
Yeah.
And I don't think we all know how to do that anymore.
Wow. Man, I really appreciate you stepping up to the line and having a real and honest conversation with us about what you're doing. Honestly, I wish that the people that you were speaking to today could have heard this conversation, because the reality is you care about what you're doing because it affects this culture and society that we live in. And I can see that. And so I really appreciate that. if people want to find you, where do they find you?
Find me on LinkedIn, KP Reddy, Reddy. I'm pretty active on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Very active on Substack as
Okay.
well. It's my other. LinkedIn's got a little trolly lately, but.
And your company
Zero
website?
RFI, zero-rfi.com.
Zero-rfi.com.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And if you're in construction, they should check you out.
Absolutely.
So I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.